Hi everyone, welcome back to Lisa's Love and Light. Happy Monday. It's Monday, the weekend goes by so quick, guys. It just goes by way too fast. And I hope you guys enjoyed your weekend and you did things to take care of yourself, to uplift, motivate you, to take care of your mental and physical health so that you can be okay. Speaking about that before I get into this topic of discussion today, let me tell you guys why it's so important to handle and take care of your physical and mental health. Um, Let me tell you, using myself, for the first half of my life, guys, you see me on these videos. I don't know if you guys go way back when I first started, but I was 260 something pounds, almost 300 pounds. Keep in mind, I'm only 5'3", and back and forth to the doctor about my weight because it was I was borderline diabetic, and then I had some cholesterol issues, and what else? Some high blood pressure issues because of the weight, and I could not get rid of it no matter what I was doing. You know, when I got rid of it, guys, I got rid of the weight when I got rid of the toxic individuals out of my life because the stress, the aggravation, the continual arguments over insignificant stuff, the gossip, the lies, the drama, all these things can affect every area of your health and your mental health. And no matter what I did, and like I said, I was almost in a 10-year relationship. Nothing. I had thyroid issues. I mean, I have some, but not as bad as it was. And it was bad, guys. Hair falling out, weight, can't get it down, having all these other issues, going back and forth to the doctor, and just could not lose the weight. Finally, when I decided that enough was enough, and these relationships ended, whether it was a personal one, a friendship, because you can be having a situation with toxic friends and family, which I got rid of from my life. What it was is setting strong boundaries, as my therapist said. But for me, I had to cut off, block, and delete. And once I did that, my weight started to go down, as you guys can see, because I was huge, and just walking up the stairs was just huffing and puffing, having difficulty breathing because it was just too much. And when I decided to change my life for the better, in order to do so, I had to cut out what was causing the root cause of the problem. And the root cause was what I just mentioned: the toxic individuals, the stress, the people starting arguments for no reason and creating more drama. And the more that you engage, the more that it affects your health in a negative. And I had to learn that. And as I learned that, I started to set those boundaries that my therapists talk about all the time. And as I did that, I was scared at first because I didn't know how it was going to play out. But my mental and physical health is everything, because without that, guys, you can't take care of yourself or anything else around you. So that must always be a priority. And, let people talk, let them say whatever. Just focus on the priority, which is your physical and mental health, because if that suffers, everything else around you suffer. So I'm using that example to share with you guys. And I, slimmed down a lot. And it feels good to get rid of that extra weight. And you know what, guys? It also feels good not to carry anybody else's burdens, because I was carrying people's problems and burdens, trying to fix this over here, trying to do this over here, etc. and so forth. And it wasn't my job to carry no one else's burdens. They must carry their own and fix their own problems. So the stress of it all has been laid to rest. And as I grow, heal, and evolve, I am being the best person that I can. I'm helping others, fulfilling my vows to God. And there's people out there who are haters who hate that. But let me tell you something. When somebody makes a vow to God and you guys make a vow and you know he's accepting those vows, people are who try to interfere with that, then God gets involved. And when God get involved, it's a wrap. And I'm telling you what I've seen. I'm not going to share too much here on YouTube, but people trying to stop and block me from things, God always gets involved because I made vows to him. These are some of the vows, and if I can't fulfill my vows due to no fault of my own, then I go into prayer and fasting, and God does the rest so that I can stay focused on what's important and not the drama and the toxicity. So guys, with that being said, just sharing with you how I do things, because those who are listening, it might resonate with you, and it might, you might be able to apply some of these things within your own circumstances and situations if it resonates with you. So with that being said, the topic of discussion is pain, grief, and healing. We're going to talk about pain, grief, and healing today. Keep in mind, I'm not a therapist, social worker, or a counselor. I talk from a space of everything that I've gone through and how I overcame these trials and problems that were standing in my way. And perhaps you'll hear something that I say here on this video or prior videos or future videos that might resonate with your circumstances and might be beneficial to helping you with them. So with that being said, pain, trauma, and grief. These things, if any of you guys have gone through this to the highest extent, or just even a little bit, these things will change your life forever. I know for me, it's changed my life forever. And for me, these things are so real. Loss after loss of loved ones, friends, and even a relationship I had, a person passed away. And it's just, and it was one of my better relationships, but pain on top of pain. I know what all of it feel like, guys, because I went through this over and over and over again like a needle stuck on a broken record. So I know what all this feels like. It's been so bad and so much that I can recognize it if it's even coming in my direction. Because I experienced this in 2020 and shortly before this and up until 2023 when I said no more, I have to change my life for the better. Especially when I lost my mother, good friend of mine, and my dog. My dog died the year after my mom, but my life changed forever. There was no one there helping me but God. These things were some of the worst pain, guys, that I ever felt in my life, because it was a domino effect of this pain. One week somebody died over here, the next week over there, and it kept going and going and going on and on up until from 2020 to 2023. And it was just bad. And the worst part of it is that nobody understood the pain that I was going through, the grief, because I was getting grief-stricken moments all of a sudden, to the point where I would be in a store and I see a picture or something that reminded me of my mother or, my dog or something, then I have to leave everything in the store and leave. And I would just be crying nonstop. And that went on for a while until I started therapy. And the worst part of it, like I said, no one understood what I was going through. They didn't understand the pain, so they abandoned ship. They abandoned ship and left me all alone to deal with all of this pain and everything. When the news came in, let me share something with you guys. I have some notes here. When the news of my mom's death came in, one of the worst things that happened to me during that time is that a sibling of mine had 4 pictures taken of my mother dead in the bed and put that on a text and sent that throughout the entire family. And this was too much for me when I saw those pictures. because I knew we couldn't have a funeral because it was during the COVID time. I understood that, but to have pictures of her like that without my permission and to send that to me, and worst of all, to send that to my son at the time who saw those pictures, it freaked me out. And it got to be too much, to the point, guys, that I got sick and went to the hospital because my blood pressure went up sky high. Remember, guys, at that time I was like, what did I say, about 260 pounds or a little over that. And then my blood pressure went up, my heart started to race, and I had to go to the hospital. And I was enraged about my sister taking those pictures because, like I said, my son saw that. His grandmother laid in a bed, dead. And one of the pictures with her mouth open because they had some kind of, she was in a nursing home. They had some kind of machine or something. And it just, I don't agree with that. And it should have been a conversation. But they don't do things that way. And it just, I can still see it in my mind today. And I can imagine how my son feels about it. So, guys, and this went to his phone, and I guess he opened it up and saw these pictures of his grandmother. So it's like, and it doesn't give him a good, feeling about the family as well. I'm not a stranger to grief, pain, and abandonment, because that seemed like to be the first half of my life, going through this over and over and over again. But out of all this, guys, I have learned lessons, and I had learned how to lean on God and trust Him instead of folks, other people. Giving my all to other folks and thinking they're going to be there during the good times, during the bad times, during the whatever times. No, that wasn't the case, because I had to learn to lean on God and to trust myself and to love myself, which I had to learn. What doesn't break you, keep in mind, guys, what doesn't break you will make you stronger. And I'm living proof of that, because I went through these things by myself with the help of God, but not an individual. I learned also to see things from a different perspective, because like I said in prior videos, is that I was looking at things from a broken mindset, a broken way of living, because all my life I was taught as a woman to be subservient, to suppress what my needs were and to take care of everybody else's needs around me, especially in a relationship. Forget about what I want, do what everybody else want, and I'll live a better life. And it's not true, guys. So I had to recondition my mindset from a different perspective. It's a lot of work, guys, from 2020 up until 2025. And I still have moments, of grief, etc. But I see things from a different perspective than when it first started. And my therapist has helped me through a pro and con list. And he wouldn't judge or anything. He doesn't do that. What he does is say, do a pro and con list. And each person, see what they're bringing to your table. And it was me bringing everything to the table, because that list of what they were bringing was so small. And I started to realize that I was being an overgiver and subservient to people and filling up their cup while my cup was still empty. And I don't do that today, because I learned through therapy how to set boundaries, some strong boundaries, guys, so that I can protect my peace and peace of mind. That's a priority. When you start to do things differently and look at things from a different perspective, you start to self-care, which turns into self-love. And when you love yourself, you're going to do things that's for your highest good, and not just accept any old thing just because it's in your face. I even learned how to effectively cut off, block, and delete toxic people out of my life. Even if we do share DNA, it doesn't matter. In some cases, those are the main ones that need to be cut off. I also learned how to diffuse a fire being ignited by toxic individuals by remaining silent and walking away from the drama. Once I walk away from it, there's no reconciling, coming back, because I see things for what they are and not what I want them to be. So I walk away from it. Because when you engage in toxicity with toxic individuals and drama, you get your blood pressure up, you're upset. They just, you know, ruined your day. They just ruined your day. And I don't give anyone the satisfaction of that. You know, even though, of course, I'm human and I feel some kind of way, but I am going to leave the person where they are, move over here, you know, say some prayers, get myself together, and keep moving on. You know, because it's not worth it. And when you see people love, because some people don't want to heal, they don't want to grow, they don't want to evolve, they love the drama, the toxicity. You know, those things to me belong on a reality show and not in people's real life. But some people love that. And so I stay away from that as much as possible. And I learned to stop repeating lessons so that I can jump off that Ferris wheel that was going around and around, going nowhere and keeping me stuck. I learned to jump off of that wheel. Guys, you do not have to succumb to the things that keep you stuck and things that are not for your highest good. It's like purchasing a huge box of puzzle pieces, right? Let's say you got 1,000 pieces in there. You don't, as you turn over the box and let the pieces fly where they may, and you start to take the time to put them together, you don't know what that picture is until you start to work on it and start to see the background of what that picture may be. That's how it is with this healing thing. You don't know. It doesn't come with an instruction book to tell you to do A, B, C, D, and E. You have, you know, the first place I would encourage is therapy, because from there and talking, that's an outlet for the pain. And then you will find creative ways, asking God to help you to find ways to creatively, you know, heal your pain. Do things that bring you joy and peace. You know, and as you start to self-care and self-love, you start to eventually acquire inner peace. And once you get there, that's priceless. You're not going to sell your peace for drama and toxicity. For me, it's not a negotiation. You know, your peace of mind should never be a negotiation for anyone. And yes, it hurts because sometimes not just setting strong boundaries, sometimes you just have to cut off, block, and delete. I know in my case I did, especially family members who want to keep the drama going and they want to make you feel lower than an ant on the ground, you know, and I refuse to engage in those vicious cycles anymore. I have healed all those things and I just leave folks where they are, you know, because everybody don't want to heal. You can bring people to the water, you can't make them drink. They have to drink it on their own. And I'm not giving and over giving to people who are not filling up my cup. You know, it has to be an equal give and take. And people who just, you know, want to be envious, jealous of you, talking about you, whatever. You know what I do today? I used to get so mad about that. I just let people talk. Because I said, I'm going to let God deal with this while I stay over here, fulfill my vows, and take care of myself. Because I have them block, cut off, and delete. And so I can stay on my path and I can stay focused on not just helping myself, but to help other people. Because people, you know, sometimes we need help. We're human. We make mistakes. You know, this is not a one-man show, and I go to God for a lot of things, and He helps me as I take these steps. So I'm talking about these things. This being on this platform is one of the vows I made because people need help. I have talked to people and strangers, especially when I'm out running errands and shopping, like to talk to me. And people are really hurting and going through a lot, and they don't know which way to turn. Should I turn to the left, the right? Should I go forward? You know, and sometimes they just need that encouragement, that motivation to uplift them. Because you have to love yourself. Because when you start to self-love, you don't care about that noise that people are talking. Especially when it's lies and it's ineffective. But they're doing that because you cut them off and they mad. One of the things I have a problem understanding is when something's not working out, whether it's a friendship or a relationship, right? Or even family, whatever. And you can't bring things together to a compromise, right? And, so I would say, okay, well, this is not working out. And you decide, especially with a relationship I'm going to use, it's not working out, so I got to let this go. And I wish you well, right? There's no hard feeling, but that person don't want to let you go, even though you don't want this anymore. Well, if I can't have you, nobody else can. And then they're doing things, stalking you and doing the crazy stuff that people do. And I don't understand that, because it tells me that that person's self-esteem must be in the gutter. Because if you love yourself and have self-esteem, it's going to hurt, of course, and be a disappointment if you in something it doesn't work out. But to follow someone, and to demand their attention when they don't want nothing to do with you is insanity to me. It makes me realize that this person needs to heal their mental health. And they need to pick up their self-esteem from the gutter and start working on themselves. Because when you love you, even though it hurts and it's pain and it's, all of that, you work on yourself, because well, maybe the door closed here because this wasn't for my highest good. And that's how I start looking at things from a different perspective. Yeah, it hurts because I really like that person. Let's say, for example, right? And this is just all examples. But it wasn't for your highest good, because maybe what is important to you is not important to them, or you don't share the same morals and guidelines and principles, etc. So the door closed for that reason, and then you respect that, you move on. But some people who are narcissistic and who have mental and physical health issues, they don't want to let go. They want to, oh no, this is, and I don't take kindly to that at all. Restraining orders, police, whatever's necessary. And I'm just saying what I had to do in the past, because people just are on some craziness. So it's so important that we take care of our mental and physical health, because as we continue to engage in things that are peaceful and bring, it brings some peace to us, and we continue to do things that uplift our spirit and be around positive, motivating individuals and staying in prayer, with God. All these things will help your physical and mental health. And then when something doesn't work out or something doesn't go some way, you're not falling to pieces. You're not broken down, busted, and disgusted, and you're not broken down into pieces. Because when you have a quiet and a peace through your healing, you're at a space of peace instead of broken down into pieces. Continue to work on yourself. It takes time. It's not an overnight thing. It's just like a baby learning to walk for the first time. They're going to fall down a whole lot of times before they can actually get up and start walking. But that baby knows not to give up, because they know they're supposed to walk. The same as it is for this healing. Keep moving forward. You're going to have good days where you feel good and you can get so much done. Then you're going to have days where you don't want to do anything. You can take that rest, but the next day get right back up and keep going. And people who are not supporting your healing journey, and they have negative and toxic things to say, put a boundary on that. Put a boundary on that, so that you can stay focused on yourself and not give in to the toxicity. That's the message today, guys. Share it with other people. Let me tell you what helps me is you hear this music in the background. It helps so much. I have jazz going, flowers here. Take care of yourself, guys, and just do things that uplift your spirit, especially in this world we live in today that's spinning mostly on toxicity. This is Lisa, shedding love and light, being here with you today, encouraging you every day. Continue to show up and invite others. Subscribe to the channel, guys, and invite others to do the same. Because someone, somewhere, a few people need to hear these messages. And I will be back tomorrow. I'm not sure of the time, so subscribe to the channel so that you know when I'm here and you can be on as well. Thank you, guys. Have a great Monday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.